My name is Katie Brooks, and at 24, I just graduated college with honors after years of relentless hustle. I expected our family dinner to celebrate my milestone, but it turned into a brutal wake-up call. My dad leaned back in his chair, his laugh dripping with mockery, and said, "You're old enough to pay rent or get out." My mom just nodded, her eyes glued to her plate, refusing to meet mine while my sister sat across the table, her smug smile practically screaming she was in on it. They had no idea I'd been plotting my escape for years, not just months, or that I'd already locked down my own place, a home they'd never see inside. I'd played the long game, stashing every penny while they treated me like their personal ATM. The next day, as I grabbed my bags to walk out for good, my sister stood by the door, still smirking happily, thinking she'd outsmarted me. "Goodbye," I said, tossing this month's bill onto the table, a number they'd never dreamed of. When they read it $7,500, their faces drained of color, frozen in disbelief. I wasn't just leaving. I was shattering their illusion of control. Their pale faces were only the beginning. I was about to unravel years of their lies with one final move they'd never see coming. Before we dive into my story, I'm curious, what time is it where you're watching, and what city are you in? I love knowing how far my story reaches. Growing up in Bellevue, just outside Seattle, our family seemed like the ideal middle-class setup. Our 3-bedroom apartment had big windows with occasional glimpses of Mount Rainier. My father, Christopher, was a senior software engineer at a tech firm pulling in steady money, while my mother, Amanda, worked part-time at a cozy bookstore, her warm smile greeting customers. My younger sister, Jessica, and I had it. Good summers meant road trips to the Oregon coast. Birthdays came with cakes from the corner bakery, and Christmas was a pile of wrapped gifts. From the outside, we were perfect, but when I turned 15, the cracks showed. Dad came home one evening, his face tense, and announced he'd been laid off. His tech firm was slashing jobs, and his 12 years there didn't save him. Mom took on extra shifts at the bookstore, but her pay barely covered rent, let alone utilities or groceries. "It's temporary," Dad said at dinner, forcing a smile. "I'll land something big soon." That big break never came. Months dragged, and Dad only found part-time contract work coding for half his old salary. I'd see him late at night, laptop screen casting shadows on his frustrated face, scrolling job boards, or clicking through online ads. Mom's longer hours didn't help, bills piled on the kitchen counter, unopened envelopes a constant reminder. Our home's lighthearted vibe turned to tense silences with sharp whispers after Jessica and I went to bed. By 16, I couldn't stand by. I got a job at a coffee shop near school, steaming lattes after classes and weekends. My first paycheck was $120, and I handed it to Mom. "Keep it, honey," she said, but her eyes showed relief. "No, Mom, I want to help," I replied. "We're in this together." That choice became a chain. It wasn't a one-time thing anymore, it was expected. When the electric bill arrived with a shut-off warning, Dad looked my way at dinner. "Katie, can you chip in this month? Just till I'm steady." I nodded. Family came first. I added evening shifts at the coffee shop and started tutoring middle schoolers in math on weekends. My grades took a hit, but I held a B average despite 20 hours a week. By junior year, I was paying for my own clothes, school books, and kicking in $250 monthly for household bills. Yet our finances never improved. What I didn't know was Dad's spending issues. He'd started buying tech gadgets, smart speakers, drones, even crypto trading accounts, claiming he could flip them for profit to save us. Mom later confessed she knew but felt helpless. He says it's the last time she'd whisper, but new packages kept arriving, cluttering our tiny living room. Jessica, 3 years younger at 18, acted like nothing was wrong. While I worked late, she hung out with friends, her phone always flashing new apps or selfies in designer clothes. When she wanted a $400 smartwatch for her birthday, the money appeared. When I needed new work shoes, I paid myself. Your sister's just a kid, Mom said when I pointed out the unfairness. Let her have her fun. But Mom's words cut deeper. If you helped more, Katie, we wouldn't be so stressed, she'd snap, her voice heavy with blame. Once after I sent $300 for the water bill, she sighed. Other daughters do more without complaining. The guilt stung, but the real blow came when I found a receipt in the trash. Dad had used my tutoring cash to buy Jessica a $300 leather jacket. She wore it the next day, smirking, "Looks good, right?" Like she knew where the money came from. That's when I started documenting everything. I bought a small notebook, hid it in my room, and logged every dollar I gave, dates, amounts, what it was for. I noted every bill I paid, every time Mom asked for just a little more, every gadget Dad ordered, every luxury Jessica flaunted. I even jotted down Mom's guilt trips, like when she compared me to obedient daughters in other families who never questioned helping. I wasn't just helping anymore, I was being played. The resentment built with every entry, every dollar I handed over, while Jessica got new sneakers or concert tickets. I kept quiet, worked harder, but inside I was done being their fix. The unfairness was just starting to show its true face, and what I'd uncover in high school would make it impossible to keep swallowing the lies. By high school, the weight of my family's expectations had become a constant grind. I was 16, juggling coffee shop shifts and tutoring gigs, covering my own expenses, textbooks, bus passes, even prom tickets, while still sending $250 home each month for bills. My grades held steady, but free time was a myth. Meanwhile, Jessica at 13 floated through life untouched. She'd show up at school in new sneakers or with the latest phone, flaunting them, while I wore the same jacket for 2 years. One day I overheard her with friends at the mall laughing, "Katie's so cheap always in those thrift store clothes. Guess she loves being broke." Her words burned, but I kept quiet, adding them to my notebook of grievances, every slight and dollar tracked meticulously. I wasn't just helping anymore. I was fueling their denial, and Jessica's mockery made it personal. The unfairness grew sharper in senior year. I was 17, working nearly 30 hours a week when Mom called during a break. "Katie, the gas bill's overdue. Can you send $150? We're struggling." I wired the money, eating instant noodles for a week to cover it. Days later, Jessica posted a selfie from a concert tickets easily costing $80. When I asked Mom about it, she brushed me off. "She's young. Katie, don't make her feel bad." But the sting deepened when I found a credit card statement in Dad's desk while grabbing printer paper. It wasn't his name on it, it was mine. They'd opened a card using my credit score without asking, racking up $3,000 for household expenses. I confronted Mom. It was just temporary, she said, avoiding my eyes. "You're helping the family, other daughters wouldn't complain." Her guilt trip hit hard, but the betrayal cut deeper. I started college at the University of Washington, Tacoma, staying local because a full scholarship was my only way out without abandoning them financially. I moved into a dorm, but kept working coffee shop weekends, tutoring evenings, sending home $300 monthly. My days were a blur. 6 a.m. study sessions, classes, till 3 p.m. work till 9, then homework till midnight. Friends invited me to parties, but I'd decline for extra shifts. Spring breaks were skipped when the water bill loomed. I told myself it was temporary, graduate, get a job, things would stabilize. But Dad's spending didn't stop. Packages arrived weekly, smart thermostats, VR headsets, crypto trading subscriptions he swore would turn things around. Mom enabled it, saying, "He's trying to fix our future." Meanwhile, Jessica, now 16, kept up her taunts. At a family barbecue, she told cousins Katie's too stingy to chip in properly. That's why we're tight. I overheard my face hot, but I bit my tongue, adding her words to my notebook. That's when I met Shannon, a financial advisor, at a campus workshop. I spilled everything: years of covering bills Mom's blame, Dad spending Jessica's entitlement, the credit card betrayal. Shannon listened, her expression grim. "You're carrying an adult burden while they exploit you," she said. "This won't stop unless you force it." She taught me budgeting, investing, and setting boundaries. "Your first loyalty is to yourself," she stressed. "You can't save others if you're drowning. We mapped a plan: keep sending money to avoid fights, but divert 20% of my earnings to a secret savings account. It started small, $50 a week, but it was mine." Shannon helped me research starter homes in up-and-coming Tacoma neighborhoods, affordable with my credit and future job prospects. I also learned the credit card debt could be disputed, but I held off, letting it fuel my resolve. By junior year, I was 20, and my secret account had grown to $8,000. I landed a paid internship at a marketing firm, impressed by my hustle, with a full-time offer waiting post-graduation. The resentment from high school Jessica's mocks, Mom's guilt trips, Dad's lies, pushed me to plan beyond escape. I wasn't just leaving. I wanted to prove they'd underestimated me. I kept up the act, letting them think I was stretched thin, complaining about tight weeks when Mom asked for more. Jessica, now 18, kept pushing. She'd text, "Can you cover my phone bill? It's only $60. When I hesitated, she'd scoff. "You're so selfish, Katie." I logged every request, every jab, knowing I'd use it later. My notebook was now a ledger of their wrongs, and I was building toward a moment they'd never expect: a move that would flip their world upside down. By my senior year of college, I was 24 and had turned my resentment into a plan sharper than ever. My secret savings account, guided by Shannon, had grown to $12,000, and my marketing internship had locked in a full-time job offer starting at $55,000 a year. I was ready to break free, but I didn't just want out. I wanted to prove they'd underestimated me. I started playing a role the broke college student, stretched thin, barely scraping by. When Mom texted Katie, "We're short on rent, can you send $400? I'd reply, "I'm tapped out, Mom, maybe next week." I could have helped, but I chose not to. Their latest crisis, a $500 phone bill, was one I could have covered easily, but I let it slide, knowing they'd feel the pinch. It was deliberate. I stopped sending my usual $300 a month, right when their bills piled highest, setting the stage for a showdown. I'd been eyeing a small one-bedroom house in a growing Tacoma neighborhood just 15 minutes from campus. With my savings, solid credit from years of careful budgeting, and the job offer, I qualified for a first-time homebuyer program. The house was modest, outdated paint, a tiny yard, but sturdy bones. The sellers, moving cross-country, wanted a quick close at $160,000. My monthly payments would be less than what Dad was about to demand in rent. 2 months before graduation, I closed the deal in secret, telling my family I was pulling extra shifts. Shannon was there as I signed, her nod reassuring. "You're taking back your life," she said. I kept the house empty, visiting alone to map out where I'd put a couch or hang curtains, but mostly I steeled myself for the fight I knew was coming. Graduation day arrived, bright and warm. I put on my cap and gown, nerves buzzing with anticipation. My roommate Angela adjusted my tassel, grinning. "This is your moment, Katie, don't let them steal it." The ceremony was on the University of Washington Tacoma's main lawn, rows of chairs facing a stage decked in school colors. I spotted my family in the crowd, Mom waving, Dad scrolling his phone, Jessica looking bored. When my name rang out, Katie Brooks, Bachelor of Marketing cum laude, I crossed the stage, diploma in hand, feeling a rush no one could take away. After Mom hugged me tight, "So proud, sweetie." Dad gave a quick pat. "Real world now." Jessica muttered, "Can we eat already?" No one asked about my plans, as if my degree was an endpoint, not a beginning. They'd booked a table at Luigi's, a mid-tier Italian spot near campus, a step up from our usual takeout. Dad made a show telling the waiter, "We're here for our daughter's big day." The waiter smiled. "Congrats, first drinks on us." Dad ordered a pricey Merlot. Mom picked a $30 seafood pasta, Jessica a $40 steak. I stuck with chicken Alfredo, already knowing I'd be handed the bill. The meal started light. Mom asked about classmates. Dad rambled about the ceremony's length. Jessica complained about the sun. But as mains arrived, Dad cleared his throat, raising his glass. To Katie, our graduate, he said, all smiles, "We're so proud of your hard work." I clinked glasses, letting myself feel the moment. Then his tone shifted, sharp and calculated. "But graduation means adulthood, and adulthood means stepping up." My stomach dropped. I knew what was coming. "Your mom and I talked," he continued, "and it's time you pay your way. You're old enough to cover rent or get out." I nearly choked on my wine. "Rent," I said, voice steady despite the anger rising. "Dad, I've been paying bills since I was 16. He waved it off. "Bits here and there, Katie. Now you'll have a real job. $600 a month plus utilities, fair deal, cheaper than moving out." Jessica smirked, leaning back. "Welcome to grown-up life, sis." Mom stared at her plate, silent as ever. "Let me get this straight," I said, my voice cold. "After years of covering your bills, working doubles through school, you want $600 a month, plus utilities." Dad's face stayed smug. "We've supported you forever, food, roof, everything. Your turn." I wanted to scream, to list every dollar I'd sent, every guilt trip I'd swallowed. Instead, I took a breath. "I'll think about it." That seemed to satisfy him, and talk turned to Jessica's summer plans, a trip with friends they were funding. I sat silent, appetite gone, my mind racing. When the bill came, $180, Dad slid it to me with a wink. "Your first adult expense, grad." I paid without a word, ignoring Jessica's grin and Mom's averted gaze. Driving home, I replayed their entitlement, my resolve hardening. I could have bailed them out of their latest crisis, kept the peace like always, but I didn't. I'd stopped sending money to push them to this point, and now their ultimatum had lit the fuse. Tomorrow I'd walk out, and they'd face a truth they couldn't ignore. The morning after that disastrous dinner, I woke up in my childhood bedroom, my resolve like steel. By 6 a.m., I was packing clothes in 2 duffels, books, and keepsakes in 3 boxes, a small pouch for my thrift store jewelry. Years of giving everything to my family left me with so little it all fit by the door in an hour. I heard Mom's footsteps in the kitchen, the coffee maker humming. I carried the first duffel downstairs, and she looked up startled. "Katie, you're up early, coffee." "No thanks, Mom," I said, setting the bag by the front door. "I'm moving out today." Her cup froze midair. "What?" Because of Dad's words. "He didn't mean right now." "It's not just last night," I replied, heading back for another bag. "I've planned this for a while. It's time." She followed, voice shaky. "Where are you going? You don't have a place lined up." I smiled tightly. She had no idea I could plan without them. Dad woke to the noise, robe, loose hair, a mess. "What's going on?" he demanded. "Katie's moving," Mom said, wringing her hands. His eyes narrowed at the bags, anger flaring. "Over one conversation, this is dramatic." I grabbed a box of books. "It's not about last night, Dad. I start my job Monday, need to be settled." Settled where, he snapped, following me upstairs. "You can't afford a place yet." The irony of him lecturing me after years of draining my money almost made me laugh. "It's handled," I said, lifting another box. "I've been saving." His voice rose. "Saving. While helping us." I didn't answer, focusing on stacking my things. Jessica emerged, watching with a smirk, like she knew something I didn't. "Movers arrive at 9, I announced, checking my phone. Mom's voice was faint. "Movers, Katie? This is so sudden." Not to me, it was years of betrayal boiling over. They never imagined I'd have a life beyond their demands. The moving truck pulled up on time, 2 guys loading my stuff efficiently. I did a final sweep of my room, finding nothing left behind. As I turned to leave, Mom stood in the doorway. "I didn't realize you had so little," she said softly, almost seeing the imbalance for the first time. I nodded, brushing past. Downstairs, Dad was arguing with the movers about their parking. "Katie," he called. "What's this nonsense? I'm leaving now," I said. "I'll call in a few days." They followed me to my new Tacoma house, a modest 1-bedroom they didn't know I'd bought, the very place they'd eyed online for downsizing if things got tight. When they pulled up, their faces froze, recognizing the address. I let them in, blocking the doorway at first. "This is yours?" Dad asked, voice sharp, scanning the bare living room. "You bought this?" "Yes," I said, calm but firm. "How?" he demanded. "You gave us everything." "Not everything," I corrected. I opened my laptop, pulling up my ledger, years of documented abuse, every dollar sent, every bill paid, every guilt trip logged. "This month alone, I covered $7,500 in your bills," I said, pointing to the screen. "And that's just a fraction. I've given over $60,000 since I was 16. Mom gasped, hand to her mouth. Jessica's smirk vanished. Dad's face reddened. "You're exaggerating," he sputtered. "I have receipts," I said, clicking to bank statements. "Every transfer, every payment while you bought gadgets, Mom blamed me and Jessica got her luxuries." I paused, letting it sink in. "I could have stopped your latest crisis, paid the mortgage, kept the lights on, but I didn't. And this house, the one you wanted to move to, it's mine now." The silence was deafening. Mom tried her guilt trip. "Katie, how could you let us struggle? We're your family." I shook my head. "You used my credit, took my money, and called it help. I'm done." Jessica, desperate, tried to twist it. "You're selfish, Katie, hiding money while we suffered." She'd spread rumors to cousins, saying I'd ditched them, hoping to shame me back. It didn't work. "I'm not helping anymore," I said, voice steady. "You're facing foreclosure because of your choices, not mine. Dad's spending, Mom's enabling your lies. Jessica, it's over." Dad's voice cracked. "You can't abandon us." "I'm not abandoning," I replied. "I'm living my life, something you never let me do." I handed them an envelope with my new address for emergencies and a printout of my ledger. "Review this before you call me," I said, walking them to the door. Jessica's face was pale, Mom's eyes teary, Dad's jaw tight. As they left, I felt a rush of power and a pang of something else. Their world was about to collapse, and I'd made sure of it. 4 months after that confrontation at my Tacoma house, my life had transformed. My 1-bedroom home, once empty, now felt like mine, painted navy blue, with a second-hand couch and a small dining table where I'd sip morning coffee. My marketing job was a whirlwind of success. I'd landed a campaign lead role, earning a raise to $60,000 within weeks. Every paycheck was mine alone, a stark contrast to years of funneling money home. But the victory came with a cost. I'd severed all contact with my family, no calls, no texts, no trace. The silence was freeing but heavy, and the fallout from my stand was reshaping their world in ways that left me both triumphant and unsettled. Their Bellevue apartment was on the brink of foreclosure. Without my monthly $300, Dad's part-time coding gigs and Mom's bookstore wages couldn't cover the mortgage, especially after Dad blew another $1,000 on crypto trades chasing a big win. A cousin texted me that the bank had issued a final notice, 30 days to pay or lose everything. My savings could have bought them time, but I didn't budge. I'd carried them for years, and their lies. Dad's spending, Mom's guilt trips, Jessica's sabotage had burned that bridge. Jessica, now 22, was working shifts at a fast food joint, her first taste of real work. She'd vented online, bitter, claiming I'd left them to sink while flaunting her old designer bags. Her resentment didn't faze me. It proved she'd never own her part. I'd started seeing Brandon, a graphic designer from work whose calm support grounded me. One night over pizza at my place, he leaned in, eyes serious. "Katie, you're killing it house job freedom," he said. "But cutting them off completely, was it worth losing your family forever?" His words stung, forcing me to question the cost of my revenge. My neighbor Tiffany Ward, a kind retiree who'd brought me brownies on move-in day, said something similar while we chatted in her garden. "You stood up for yourself, and that's strength," she said, her voice warm but cautious. "But you seem so alone now. Did you have to burn it all down?" Their challenges hit deep, validating my choice, but exposing the loneliness beneath. I was unstoppable, my house payments on track, my career soaring, my finances untouchable. But late at night, the quiet of my home felt hollow. I'd won no question. My family's lifestyle was gone. No more coastal vacations, no gadgets for Dad, no luxury hauls for Jessica. Their world had collapsed just as I'd intended. Yet lying awake, I wondered if the justice I'd claimed was worth the emptiness. I could have offered a budget plan like Shannon once suggested, or helped one last time with boundaries. Instead, I'd chosen dominance, letting their house slip away to prove my point. The power felt good, but the solitude didn't. Here's what I learned: self-protection must come before family loyalty, because love shouldn't mean bleeding yourself dry. I gave over $60,000, absorbed Mom's guilt trips, and endured Jessica's lies thinking it was duty. But enabling their choices only trapped me. My revenge freed me, but it left scars, ones I'm still navigating. I'd tell anyone watching, don't wait for resentment to build like I did. If you spot financial abuse, guilt trips, secret loans, unfair demands, draw the line early. Your life belongs to you, not their crises. I'm stronger now, but I question if winning meant losing too much. Thanks for listening to my story. Please like, subscribe, and share your own experiences in the comments. It helps knowing others get it.